You are in the way, go to an orphanage.
I don't have a mom, you know. My name is Emily Johnson. I'm in 5th grade, living with my dad and mom, just the 3 of us. My dad is super kind, always taking me out on his days off. My mom is normal when dad's around, but when he's not, she comes off as cold or indifferent, making it hard to talk to her sometimes.
I'm off. See ya.
My dad leaves for work early in the morning, just like any other day. I said goodbye as I ate my breakfast. Looking at the clock, it's almost time for me to head to school too. I ate my breakfast a little quickly because I had to change clothes soon, otherwise I would be late. Thanks for the meal. After finishing, I put my dishes in the sink and head back to my room to get dressed.
Wait a minute.
Mom calls out, stopping me in my tracks, pointing at the sink.
Who's going to wash these?
Her look is cold, almost angry. Normally, I'd just get dressed and go to school, but I felt like that would make her mad this time. Okay, I'll wash them, I mutter, and suddenly she yells, "What? Speak up, I can't hear you." I freeze, feeling scared. But I knew I was in the wrong, so I apologized. "Sorry, I'll wash them."
Of course, as you should. From now on, take care of your own stuff.
Mom angrily threw her apron on the couch and went to her room. Realizing I should care for my own things, I washed the breakfast dishes and left for school. Talking with friends at school, the topic of parents came up. Listening to their stories, everyone's mom seems kind, and even though they get scolded, they seem to get along well.
What about your mom, Emily?
Suddenly asked by a friend, I struggled to answer. But I've always thought my mom's coldness was a misunderstanding on my part, probably because I hadn't been taking care of my things, making her moody. I replied that she is very kind. My friend said, "That's nice," but I felt conflicted. I'm home. I came home from school, and my mom was not there. Maybe she went shopping, I think, and started my homework in my room. Before I know it, it's dark outside, and it's usually dinner time, but Mom hasn't returned. Then, I heard noises from the entrance, followed by the sound of the fridge opening. Peeking into the kitchen from my room's door, I saw Mom. Feeling hungry, I went to the kitchen and greeted her with "Welcome back."
I'm back.
Her reply is quick, without turning around, still seemingly in a bad mood. "What's for dinner today?" I laughed and asked her it. My mom's face was scary when she looked back, probably because I asked her a question.
What? I told you to take care of your own stuff. Dad will be home soon, and I'm busy cooking dinner.
Unable to say anything more to my mom, I was about to make some instant noodles when Dad came home.
I'm home.
Hearing Dad's voice, Mom quickly took the instant noodles from my hands. I was confused about what to do, and Dad entered the kitchen.
Oh. Are we just starting dinner?
Seeing my kind Dad's face, I felt like crying. "Welcome back."
Today I got late going shopping, so I'm just making dinner now. Please wait a little longer, both you, Dad, and Emily.
Mom's face softened. I wasn't sure if she was still mad, but the thought of eating dinner made by her made me happy. Later, we had dinner as a family, and enjoyed playing games with Dad. I guess Mom was just in a bad mood. I fell asleep thinking that if I took care of my things properly, there wouldn't be any more reasons for her to get angry. From the next day, I tried to take care of my own things. I washed the breakfast dishes, folded the laundry, and put it away in the closet. I vacuumed my room and made instant noodles for myself when Mom came home late. Thinking Mom would be proud of me made me smile. Though she hasn't praised me yet, she has been getting angry less often. When Dad was home, we enjoyed our time together as a family of 3. I was happy about that. One night, I heard a groaning sound and woke up to find it was the middle of the night. Thinking it might be a ghost, I hid under my covers. The groaning continued for a while, and as I was shaking with fear, I heard the sound of an ambulance. The sound of the ambulance stopped just a few blocks away, telling me that it had arrived nearby. Our front door step became noisy. I realized for the first time that it had stopped in front of my house, and I jumped out of bed to see my dad about to be carried out of the house. "Dad!" I ran over and screamed. Dad looked pale and sweaty, clearly in pain. Tears started flowing as I clung to the paramedic, begging, "Please save my dad." The paramedic gently reassured me that they were taking him to the hospital now. Afterward, Mom and I rode in the ambulance to the hospital, where Dad was rushed inside. Mom and I could only wait in the designated area. My heart was filled with anxiety as I waited, wondering what would happen to my dad if something happened to him. However, Mom seemed unbothered, busy with her phone, not looking worried at all. I cried alone, waiting for someone to tell me everything would be all right. After what felt like an eternity, a doctor came to talk to us. Mom and the doctor had a serious conversation, and all I could understand was that Dad had been diagnosed with an illness and would need to stay in the hospital for a while. I was shocked at the thought of Dad having to fight an illness, and my dad wouldn't be able to come home for a while. Once Mom and I went back home, and after packing things for Dad's hospital stay, she went back to the hospital. Left alone at home, I couldn't sleep, lying in bed until it was nearly dawn. School. I needed to go to school, but I wasn't in the mood to go. I didn't feel like eating at all, and just crawled back into my bed.
Aren't you going to school?
It was noon when Mom noticed. She didn't scold me for not going to school, but seemed busy and left the house quickly, probably heading to the hospital. Having not eaten anything since the morning, I decided to go to the kitchen. There was bread, so I made a sandwich with ham and cheese from the fridge and ate it. In the evening, Mom came back. She had bought some takeout for me.
Eat this today, and I also bought some instant noodles for you to eat from tomorrow.
Okay, thanks. I thought I shouldn't bother Mom since she's busy with Dad's situation, so I just followed what she said. The next morning, I ate instant noodles for breakfast and went to school. My friends asked why I was absent yesterday, and I lied, saying I felt sick. The teacher seemed to know the situation and spoke kindly to me. When I got home, Mom wasn't there, probably at the hospital with Dad. I wanted to see Dad too. I thought about asking Mom if she could take me with her on her next visit. While I was doing my homework, the phone rang. I was the only one home, so I answered it. "Hello."
Oh, Emily, what are you doing?
It was Dad on the phone, and hearing his voice made me tear up. "Dad, are you okay? I want to see you." My dad laughed softly when he heard my cries.
Sorry for worrying you. I'm okay now. I'd love to see you too. It'd be nice if you and Mom could come visit.
Yeah, I'll ask Mom.
Okay. Anyway, is Mom there?
I was puzzled by Dad's question. Mom wasn't home. I had assumed she was at the hospital. Mom's not here. Isn't she at the hospital? Hearing that, Dad seemed to realize something and spoke evasively.
All right, she just left. She should be back soon. Emily, are you managing to eat?
Yeah. Mom bought some instant noodles and stuff. After I said that, Dad went silent for a moment, then changed the subject. After talking to Dad for a while, I heard the front door open, so I told him Mom had just come home. He asked me to hand the phone to Mom. My mom looked a little upset and took over the phone to talk to my dad. When Mom came back, I could smell cigarette smoke on her, wondering where she had been before heading back to my room. The next day, Mom asked if I wanted to go to the hospital with her. I said yes, although she seemed a bit hesitant, but she took me. Seeing Dad after a long time. He was connected to an drip, but smiled as soon as he saw me.
Emily, you came to see me.
I hugged Dad. Seeing him looking well made me almost cry, but I was so happy to see him. After talking with Dad for a while, Mom said it was time to leave, and reluctantly, I left the hospital room. Turning back, Dad was smiling and waving at me, telling me to come again. But little did I know that would be our last conversation. Dad's condition suddenly worsened, and he passed away quickly. I couldn't believe that my dad was gone, so I did as my mom asked, and put on my black clothes, and went to the funeral site. Many people came to my dad's funeral to say their goodbyes. Seeing Mom handle everything so calmly made me wonder if Dad was really gone. While I was spacing out at the edge of the venue, someone spoke to me.
Hey, aren't you Emily?
I turned around to find a woman who looked a bit like Yum standing behind me. Well. I was confused about who she was when she sat down next to me.
It's been so long. I'm your aunt, your dad's younger sister.
Now that she mentioned it, she did resemble my dad. I didn't remember having an aunt, but I recall Dad talking about his sister. My aunt.
Yes, your aunt? I look like your dad, right?
She smiled, looking just like Dad. And then she suddenly hugged me.
It's okay to cry. You've been strong, Emily.
I hadn't realized I was crying until she spoke, and her words made me cry even more. It felt like the first time I truly understood that I wouldn't see Dad again. After my aunt comforted me, I thanked her and went to get a drink. When I entered the room, my mom was there, looked at my sobbing face, and said,
"What? Did you cry? What an embarrassing face."
Mom's cold words hurt me. "Aren't you sad, Mom?" I couldn't help but ask, seeing that she didn't seem sad at all.
"There's no point in being sad. He's gone."
I shivered at Mom's cold response. I thought we had fun and laughed together as a family of 3, but I wondered if Mom disliked Dad. While I was frozen, my aunt came over.
Oh my sister-in-law, it's been a while.
My aunt greeted her with a smile, and Mom's expression changed.
"Oh, it has been a while."
Need any help?
"No, there's nothing."
Well, Emily, let's go over there with me.
My aunt took my hand and led me out of the room. It was clear from Mom's face that she wasn't fond of my aunt. I stayed with my aunt until the funeral was over.
Emily, it's time to go home.
A while after the funeral ended, Mom came to pick me up. My aunt had been holding my hand but let go so I could leave. She looked a bit sad.
Emily, see you again.
Yeah, see you. As I reluctantly left with Mom, an unfamiliar car stopped.
Sorry to keep you waiting.
It seemed to be someone Mom knew, as she opened the car door. A man I didn't recognize was driving, and I instinctively hesitated to get in.
Don't dawdle, get in.
Mom's tone, unlike any I'd heard before, made me reluctantly get into the car. The car drove in the opposite direction of our house, and I watched the passing scenery outside. I was feeling a bit scared of not knowing where we were going.
We're here. Hurry up and get out of the car.
I was dropped off in front of a large building, surrounded by an area completely unfamiliar to me. Mom, where is this? As I asked, Mom lit a cigarette and said,
You are in the way, go to an orphanage.
What did you say? Before I could understand what was happening, Mom and the unfamiliar man drove away, leaving me behind. I tried to chase after the car but quickly realized I couldn't catch up, and I gave up when I fell. Not knowing where to go, I headed back to where I was left, and a car stopped beside me. The window rolled down, and it was my aunt in the driver's seat.
I never thought it would come to this. Emily, get in.
Feeling relieved to see my aunt, I hurried into the car. She patted my head, and I started to cry quietly.
How many times are you going to cry today? Poor girl.
We drove to a house that seemed to be my aunt's. When I entered the house, I heard a man's voice saying welcome home. I instinctively hid behind my aunt, who laughed and assured me it was okay. Peeking out, I saw a young man standing there, smiling at me.
I am sorry, scared you, huh? I'm her husband, so I guess I'm your uncle.
He offered his hand for a handshake. His kind face reassured me, and I shook his hand and smiled back.
You must be hungry, right? Dinner's ready. You won't grow if you don't eat up.
Stop it. What are you, her mom?
Listening to their cheerful banter, I couldn't help but laugh. Then my stomach rumbled, and the two of them laughed at me when I was embarrassed and shy. For the first time in a while, I enjoyed my dinner. After dinner, they let me take a shower, and even prepared pajamas for me. Then, invited into the living room, I found they had prepared hot milk for me.
Hot milk, really? You're not too old for that, are you, Emily?
Hey, elementary school kids love hot milk, right or not?
Their conversation felt so comfortable and made me laugh, and they joined in. They laughed along with me. Then she asked me to sit down to talk, and when I sit down in front of the hot milk, my aunt begins to talk.
Hey, Emily, how about you being adopted by us?
I was about to drink my milk when I choked on those words. Cough, cough, what?
Sorry. I guess that was a bit sudden.
My uncle patted my back, while my aunt laughed.
You become our kid. You don't want to go back to that kind of mom, do you?
I pondered my aunt's words. I didn't hate my mom, but thinking about everything at home, Dad, and being left behind, honestly, I was scared to go back to Mom.
Actually, your dad had talked to us.
What? I was surprised they mentioned my dad. Then my aunt explained in detail. The man with Mom was her affair partner, and Dad had known about Mom's infidelity. He was really worried about me. When Dad's illness was discovered, and it seemed he might not have long left, he asked my aunt and uncle to take care of me after he was gone. Hearing this, I couldn't stop crying, wishing more than anything to see my dad again.
Your dad cared about you so much. He loved you dearly.
My aunt said, comforting me with a warm hand. I silently thanked my dad in my heart. My beloved dad. The dad you always played with me. I decided I wanted to be strong, for my dad's sake. I want to stay with you, aunt and uncle. I said so, and they were both so happy to hear it. I need various procedures to stay with them officially, and it might take a while, but they assured me it's okay to stay with them in the meantime. I decided to do my best to help out around the house for my aunt and uncle. I helped with breakfast and dinner, and even with cleaning the bathroom and toilet, which made them worry about me overworking. Act like a kid and play, they'd say, so I decided to do my homework for the time being.
Emily, did you always do housework at home?
My aunt asked me about it during dinner. When I nodded, my uncle hugged me.
It's tough for a kid your age to have gone through so much.
Well, helping out is one thing, but I'm concerned you might be pushing yourself too hard.
Indeed, I had been trying too hard to be praised by my mom, maybe even overdoing it without realizing it. I realized I wasn't even aware of it, and fell silent. All that effort never praised by Mom. It made me think that perhaps all of it meant nothing to her.
You don't have to worry about anything here. Sure, we'll accept your help, but what you should really be focusing on is your friends, school, and yourself. Take good care of yourself.
My aunt's words deeply resonated with me. My uncle, teary-eyed, nodded in agreement. I felt incredibly happy to be with my aunt and uncle. 2 weeks after Dad's funeral, I was called to the teacher's office at school. I wondered what it was, and they told me that my mom was calling me. The teachers probably didn't know the full situation. Thinking the teachers would be troubled if I didn't respond, I answered the phone with trembling hands. Hello.
Emily, answer the phone quicker.
Hearing my mom's voice, as harsh as ever, after so long made me freeze.
Where are you? You're not at the orphanage I left you at.
Unable to speak, I stayed silent.
Are you listening? Well, whatever. I'm coming to pick you up. Then I'll get my allowance. You see, I'm having money troubles right now.
Her words made my feelings towards her instantly cool. To think I wanted love from someone like her, sought praise from her, and was betrayed by her for my dad. Now I have my aunt and uncle. A place where I am cherished. And my beloved dad watching over me. I can be strong. I don't have a mom, you know. Before I knew it, those words were out of my mouth.
What are you talking about?
You must be a wrong number. Goodbye then.
Wait a minute.
I hang upon her. The teacher beside me, surprised, asked if that wasn't my mom. I replied it was a stranger. The call was treated as suspicious, and a caution was issued throughout the school. I called my aunt by school's payphone, worried that my mom might come to pick me up at dismissal time. My aunt said she would come to pick me up immediately, and arrived shortly after. She also explained the situation to the school's teachers, who decided to contact Child Protective Services. After I went home, it turns out my mom showed up at the school, but the teachers handled it, and she left with a bitter look on her face. After that incident, my mom didn't storm into the school anymore, But just to be safe, my aunt or uncle would come to pick me up before dismissal time. I felt guilty for the inconvenience, but my aunt and uncle assured me not to worry about it and always greeted me with smiles. Thanks to my aunt and uncle, I have been living happily. Even at school, the teachers look out for me, making me feel grateful for having so many allies around me. One day, a while later, the home phone rang. Lately, I've been answering calls at my aunt and uncle's house, so I picked up the phone as usual. Hello. The voice I heard was one I didn't want to hear.
Well, if it isn't Emily, so you were there after all.
I froze, recognizing my mom's voice immediately. I wondered how she found out I was here. Nobody was supposed to tell her.
Stop staying there and come back. We're having a tough time here.
My mom spoke one-sidedly to me, who was silent. My mom spoke unilaterally, coldly explaining that her affair partner's company had gone bankrupt and they were out of money. Apparently, being with me would mean receiving government assistance, which they needed to survive. She mentioned they were living in a common-law marriage to get married, but now that they couldn't afford it, she was considering leaving him. The story was confusing to me, but I understood that she needed me for the money. She had said something similar when she called the school, so they must be really out of money. As I remained silent, my mom's frustration grew. Just as she started yelling, the phone was gently taken from me. I turned around in surprise to see my aunt, who gave me a reassuring smile. But in the next moment, her expression turned fierce.
Can't you even reply? Are you listening?
Stop yelling. I can hear you without all the noise.
My mom's voice faded away from the other end of the phone. My heart was racing.
Aren't you ashamed using your daughter for money? Are you telling her to come back for that? Ridiculous. What do you think Emily is?
Well, you have no right to interfere. Emily is my daughter. Give her back.
And who left your daughter in front of the orphanage? Don't talk as if you have the moral high ground.
I'll call the police. Say you kidnapped her.
Go ahead, laughable. We have evidence of the terrible things you've done to Emily, and we'll gladly present that too. Actually, please do call them. It might speed up resolving this mess.
What did you say?
Hearing the argument between my aunt and mom made me feel like I was causing trouble. But then, my uncle, who had apparently returned at some point, patted my head from behind.
It's all right. Leave it to us. This is a job for adults.
He then pulled me to the kitchen and made me hot milk again.
Emily loves hot milk, right? You drink quite a lot of it.
Yes, I thought it was delicious the first time I tried it. That's why I like it. Hearing this, my uncle smiled happily. After a while, my aunt came back to the living room. Seeing me looking worried, she ruffled my hair.
What's with that face? No worries. She's no match for me.
As I fixed my hair, I thanked my aunt. Then, I helped with dinner preparation. Since coming to live with my aunt and uncle, I learned for the first time how enjoyable helping out can be. A few days later, I answered the phone again to find it was my mom. My aunt and uncle had said I didn't need to answer her calls anymore, but I wanted to help my aunt and uncle in any way I could.
Is that you, Emily? Mom's really in trouble. I need your help.
I've already told you, I don't have a mom.
Oh, how heartless can you be? Wasn't it Mom who raised you? Have you forgotten the fun days we spent together, just you, me, and Dad?
Hearing her mention Dad made me both flinch and get irritated. The times I had with Dad were indeed fun, but that kindness was only from Dad. Mom, you dumped me. I was surprised by the loudness of my own voice as I spoke out. I felt a sense of relief as I expressed my feelings. I was standing up to my mom's words thereafter.
You still my child. I didn't abandon you. I just left you temporarily.
You said you were in the way. Go to an orphanage, laughing as you said it. Someone like that isn't my mom.
Oh, that was. I was forced to say that. It's not my fault.
Still, you abandoned me. So, I don't have a mom. If I were to say I have a mom, it would be my aunt. And my dad is my uncle. And my dad who went to heaven.
You're brainwashed. Just come back without making a fuss.
I was arguing with my mom while crying. But strangely, I felt lighter, as if I had been holding back a lot all this time.
Then at least let me live in the house you're staying at. I can't even eat without you.
No way. Don't bother the people I love. I felt someone's presence and turned around to see my aunt and uncle standing there. My aunt patted my head and praised me for speaking up. My uncle nodded in agreement, tears in his eyes. Then my aunt took over the phone call, looking surprisingly pleased. According to my uncle, my words had made her very happy. My uncle thanked me for calling him Dad. It made me wonder if it was okay to have said that, but their happiness made me happy, too. After that, there were no more calls from my mom. I thanked my aunt and uncle. Once I got used to living with my aunt and uncle, my aunt bought me a cell phone. I was thrilled to have my own phone for the first time, exchanging contacts with friends, and enjoying life more than ever. One day, the rare sound of the home phone ringing caught us by surprise. Since the incident with my mom, the school had started contacting my aunt or uncle's mobile phones, and I had my own smartphone for calls from friends. I answered the phone, wondering who it could be. Hello. In contrast to my high spirits, the caller sounded very down.
Hello, it's me.
At first, I didn't recognize who it was, almost mistaking it for the wrong number. I was about to hang up, following the school's advice not to talk to strangers.
It's your mom. Have you forgotten my voice?
Oh, I see. Realizing it was indeed my mom's voice. Her voice was so dull that I really didn't know who she was.
You're in 6th grade now, right?
There's no one here right now. When I said that, my mom started to cry. I didn't hang up, wondering what I should do.
Actually, I'm in the hospital. I got sick.
Really? Hearing that my mom was hospitalized, I was reminded of my dad. Now, remembering him doesn't make me sad anymore. Instead, I feel energized by all the good memories he gave me.
I have no one to take care of me. So, can you look after me? Plus, the hospital bills are piling up. I can't pay them. Could you ask your aunt for me? Say something, Emily.
Why do I have to take care of someone else who is not my family? I also refuse to pay for your hospital bills. I won't tell my aunt and uncle.
You, don't get cocky. I'm still sick here.
She has a lot of energy for being sick. My response to my mom being sick wasn't like when I heard about my dad's illness. My feelings towards my mom have truly cooled. No matter what she says, I no longer feel fear. But that doesn't mean I want to say anything mean to her. I just pity her. I hope never to become like her as I grow up. I was surprised by my own cold response. I got a cell phone. We hardly use the home phone anymore, and it might even be gone soon. So, this is really goodbye. My mom panicked at that.
Don't say that, please. Then, give me your mobile number.
I can't do that.
There's really no one to take care of me. No one to support me financially.
Well, I'll make sure to contact someone who might take care of you. My mom misunderstood my words and sounded a bit hopeful. I sighed at her hopeful tone, asked for the hospital's name, and hung up. I asked for the hospital's name and hung up. Then, I immediately contacted my aunt. After explaining what happened, my aunt was concerned but praised me for handling it well. And when I asked for a favor, my aunt agreed and immediately contacted someone likely to take care of my mom. A few days later, I noticed the home phone ringing persistently. Assuming it was probably my mom, I chose not to answer. The ringing continued into the night, even after my aunt and uncle came home. When I mentioned the constant ringing, my aunt sighed and answered the phone. As expected, it was my mom, and my aunt ended up in a battle with her. My mom kept demanding to talk to me, but my aunt refused it. I heard my mom panicking from the phone, saying she didn't expect her brother to come, questioning why you contacted her brother. The person I asked my aunt to contact was my mom's brother. I remembered my mom mentioning how much she disliked her own brother. My mom's brother was a very stubborn, righteous, and passionate person. Therefore, my mom's affair was outrageous to him. Furious upon hearing the story from my aunt, he had said he would come right away. Their reunion after several years turned out to be a disaster. It was directing my mom's anger towards us. My aunt was battling with my mom, but unusually my uncle told my aunt to take over for him. My uncle is very kind, so I wondered if he could handle my mom, but as soon as he took the phone, his expression turned serious.
When he gets mad, he's scarier than me.
My aunt whispered to me secretly.
Hey, cut the crap. If you really want to talk that much, I'll come over. I'll make you apologize in front of Emily. Sick or not, I don't care. Be ready.
My uncle yelled, and with a squeak, she hung up the phone.
She hung up.
After the call ended, my uncle returned to his usual self, smiling as if nothing had happened. What they say about people who rarely get angry, being the scariest when they do, is true. Afterward, my mom was forcibly taken to her brother's house. It turns out her illness was something that could be cured quickly, and she was able to leave the hospital soon after. My mom, who had anticipated a luxurious life with her affair partner, was now helping with farm work at her brother's place, much to her dismay. She initially resisted the farm work, but ended up working begrudgingly after being scolded by her brother. Of course, she could no longer afford brand name shopping, and was wearing hand-me-downs from the villagers. As for me, the legal procedures were completed, and I officially became the child of my aunt and uncle. They threw a celebration party for me, and I laughed more than I ever thought possible. And to my delight, I found out that I would be getting a little brother or sister next year. I'm so happy and excited. Cherish my family. That's what I truly believe from the bottom of my heart.